Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. I met my girlfriend, Andrea, at a local museum that was close to the undergrad school we both went to. Sounds dreamy, I know, and honestly, so was the relationship that we built together. I thought Andrea and I were perfect together. We shared similar interests and hobbies and had the same aims and ambitions in life. We started as friends, developed our bond, and became best friends, and well, eventually started dating. Andrea and I truly had the friends to lovers plot, and even though we came from completely different walks of life economically, I just knew we could make it all work because we had the power of love to support the both of us, but I guess that was just me. At least towards the end, because initially I saw the same through Andrea's eyes, the same warmth, the same enthusiasm to make our relationship work. Andrea and I both wanted to get married young. We wanted to be the couple who married young and became the old cheesy couple who held hands and went places together. Andrea and I wanted to have kids of our own. And well, Andrea and I just had so many plans together. But I guess somewhere in the middle of it all, Andrea just stopped, and I just didn't. I guess her plans just stopped being aligned with mine, and I never saw that coming. It was when we were 21. To me, our relationship seemed as golden as ever. When I was 21, I was sure of marrying Andrea, more than I was sure about life itself. And so when I started working straight out of graduating from college, I started saving up for the engagement ring. And within a year, I had it all saved up. But I wanted to surprise Andrea. I wanted everyone to know we were getting engaged except for her. It was going to be our fourth wedding anniversary. I told our friends, our parents, and everyone in between to save the date. I was on top of the moon and planned the day out with my heart to make Andrea get the most picture perfect day. And boy, was it picture perfect. If there could be a picture for a day for looking like the biggest fool, yeah, this picture would be perfect for it. LOL. The day of the party came and everyone showed up. Everyone except for the darn girlfriend. I waited for hours, rang her phone hundreds of times, and did whatnot. In the end, it was her parents who pulled me aside with a look of shame and handed me a note that was written by Andrea apologizing to me. That was it. Her parents knew nothing, or at least did a good job of pretending. So did her friends. I was broken for years. I kept wondering where, why, and how did I ever go so wrong that this is how she left me. But well, there's always a sunrise after sunset, and I ended up finding mine in making friends, excelling at work, engaging in fitness and hobbies, and meeting my now girlfriend of 3 years, Jane. Jane and everything that life has given me currently is the stability I think Andrea could never give me. Even though I valued our relationship so much, Andrea is in the last of my thoughts currently, and I was happy about it. Very, very happy until this happened. I recently got a new Facebook request from a very empty, almost bot like account. The only thing that led me to accept the request was the fact that it had Andrea's full name as its display name. I accepted the request and I immediately received a message from her. She started off by apologizing to me. I was honestly stunned, unsure of what to say. So I asked a question that sat at the top of my head every time I thought about her. Why? And I did, and well, she said she was back in town to answer all my whats, whys, and hows. She said she not only wanted to answer my questions, but also show me something. Something that she had been keeping away from me. I was anxious, but also curious. After spending a lot of time contemplating, talking to my therapist, my best friend, and most importantly, Jane, who all were encouraging me to go and burn this chapter of my life, I decided to meet her. An opportunity to burn this chapter of my life was far from what I got. Instead, what I feel like I got was another chapter with Andrea, one I wish I didn't. Andrea and I planned to meet at a local cafe. I went there a couple of minutes earlier and waited for Andrea to come, and she did eventually, with a kid alongside her. I thought initially maybe that was the baby that she had with someone after she had left. I didn't give it too much thought and just let Andrea speak. She started off by apologizing to me. She said she regretted leaving me the moment that she did. She went on to say that the reason why she did what she did was that she was pregnant with my baby and didn't want to ruin my career, so she took this huge step. I was speechless. Like literally, I started by saying nothing and ended up saying nothing. She then finally introduced me to the kid she brought with her, my son. She said she had named him Theo because that was the name we decided on together. I was honestly astounded. I told Andrea I needed time to process all of this. I mean, I wasn't rude to the kid or anything, but I was just speechless, y'all. Andrea's response to that was pretty odd. It felt like she was a bit bummed out by my response, but didn't know what to do, so just agreed to let me go. Ever since that day, she's been calling me non-stop, continuously asking me where I have been. It's only Jane and my best friend who know about this situation so far, and they've told me they'd support me through everything, regardless of the decision I took. But the truth is that I truly don't know what decision to take here, and it is almost maddening to me. I feel like I'm going crazy, and I need some words of advice here. AITA for feeling so lost and angry instead of stepping up immediately? Please help. It's been a week since I made my last post. I know you guys have been asking for an update for the longest, and so here it is. I ended up reaching out to Andrea and telling her before I even decided to meet the kid officially, I needed a paternity test and a couple of meetings with the lawyers. I even went as far as to visit the lawyers before I could call her to ask questions about what are the legal grounds that I have in this situation. The lawyers have given me some advice that is helpful, which I won't be sharing due to privacy and legal obligations. But well, to put it shortly, even with Andrea's anger and irritation about this situation, she ended up agreeing because what else would she do? Well, now I'm waiting for the paternity test to come through, and I'll be ready to accept whatever responsibilities come with it. I will keep you guys updated about the rest. I wasn't planning to make an update so soon, but what happened yesterday deserves an update. Because after all of this, I don't even think there's a need for a paternity test. It all went down last night when I got a call from my best friend, Devon. Devon was drunk out of his mind, calling me at around 2 a.m., telling me he desperately needed to talk to me about something. I thought it wasn't going to be anything serious, so just some nonsensical drunk dialing, but as Devon went on to speak, I realized it wasn't anything nonsensical. It all made sense. Devon started by ranting about Andrea. He warned me against something he had never done before. He told me how he was sure the paternity test would come negative, even though the timeline of her falling pregnant aligned with me being with her. Naturally, I asked him why he thought that, and what he said shook me to the core. He said it was because he was the one who impregnated Andrea. Tears ensued on the other side of the call. He said it all happened due to a stupid, drunken mistake between the two of them, and he encouraged Andrea to leave the town once she got pregnant, promising her to pay child support, which he did all these years until now because he had just lost his job. Andrea was a stay-at-home mom all along, so she had no means to take care of their son. So guess what? This is the plan they came up with, expecting me to just father Andrea's son because of how much of a sensitive topic Andrea was for me. I was dumbfounded. I told Devon to talk to me when he was sober the next day because I don't know. I was hoping for him to say it was all some sick joke. I guess. Sadly, it wasn't, because Devon visited my house and told me the same series of events, apologizing profusely. He even went as far as to promise me he would testify in court to save me if that's what it came to. I told him the apology was far from what I would need to accept from him. All I wanted currently was for him to leave me alone, and as far as he possibly could. He accepted and has left me alone ever since. I have been devastated and spending time with Jane, who has been nothing but a rock in my life. I don't know what the future holds for me currently, but after living through all of this, I am sure I can live through that as well. Since a lot of you guys were asking for a final update, here it is. The paternity test came back, and guess what, guys? I'm not the father. Andrea has left me alone ever since, and not gonna lie, that's been like a breath of fresh air. As for Devon, he has taken full responsibility for their child, going as far as moving close to Andrea and getting a job to care for him. He's tried reaching out to me a lot since our last conversation, even though different people, but I haven't let him get the opportunity to speak to me, because the moment he decided to sleep with my girlfriend was the moment he decided, to me. These days, all I have been focusing on is self-care. Jane and I have gone on a vacation together, and it's been bliss. I feel like I'm coming back to life with that. I'm finding myself loving Jane more. It's making me wonder if all of this happened simply because I needed to realize Jane was the young love I had always wanted. Who knows? Currently, all that matters to me is all's well that ends well. NTA, bro. Get a paternity test like yesterday. Call the lawyers, question Andrea. Sitting here won't do anything. You'll end up maddening yourself in the pool of doubts you have. It's only you who can untangle yourself from this situation. NTA. I immediately sensed that something was wrong the moment Andrea said ghosted OP because she was pregnant. I mean, why would she need to ghost OP when they both wanted to start a family young? Complete BS. Thank Jane for keeping you rational in this situation. I'm 22, female, and I come from a traditional family. By that, I mean every woman in my family had at least one child before they were 20. Education was never a priority, and even though they aren't religious, they believe that a woman's only purpose is to have kids and the man is the provider. Because of this, I have 4 younger siblings and about a dozen cousins. Being the oldest, I had to be a second mother to my siblings and a babysitter for my cousins. This made me realize I don't want kids at the age of 10. 12 years later, and my opinion hasn't changed. I don't like kids, and I don't want kids. Last year, I had my tubes tied, and I didn't tell my family. They're trying to push the idea that I'm nothing and my life is empty without kids on me. I've made my point clear many times, but they kept pushing it. Last night we had a big family dinner, and they again tried convincing me to have kids, so I shut down everything they said in a not-so-nice way. They were going on and on about how amazing being a mom is and how that's their biggest accomplishment, so I reminded them of all the times they complained about having to take care of the kids, all the times they would cuss us out for doing kid things, all the times they would tell us how much they regret having us and how we ruined their lives. I reminded one of my aunts of all the times she would make 10 years old me take care of her 4 kids, all under 6, just because she was bored and sick of taking care of them herself. I reminded my dad of all the times he complained about how much money he had to spend on me and my siblings. And of course, I reminded them how they kicked us out at 18 because they don't have to care for us legally speaking. Then I just said something like, all my life you've done nothing but complain about having kids, and now you're sitting here telling me how kids are the best thing in the world? You're all hypocrites. Then I told them not to call me until they decide to apologize for beating me, and I left. They're all very mad at me, but my siblings and cousins say I could have made my point without making them feel like bad parents. So, AITA? My mom showed up at my apartment demanding that I make a formal apology to the family and berated me for my behavior. Then she went about how disappointed she is that she raised such a selfish excuse of a daughter. And then she left. So I sent the following message in the family group chat. I will not apologize for defending myself and standing my ground. I've put up with you all for too long and I'm sick of having to justify my choices. I will live the way I see fit because it's my life. This so-called family never showed me any love or support. Even as a kid, I was just a free babysitter for your kids. I see you will never respect me or my decisions, so I don't see a reason for me to stay in contact with you. Do not contact me again. Oh, and by the way, I had my tubes tied a year ago. Insect site, GIF, goodbye. Then I blocked them all. Update 2. Mom showed up at my work because how dare I talk to my family that way? And how dare I not give her grandkids? My boss had to call the police to have her removed because she was hysterical. I'm going to stay with my BFF for a while. I'm looking for a new apartment and a new job. My landlord was very understanding and she offered to help me move my things into storage before 15th of January. My lease ends on 7th of January. She said she won't charge me any rent if I can move out by 15th. She's amazing. My boss was also very understanding and offered to help me look for another job. I'm going to see a lawyer tomorrow to get a restraining order against my family members. NTA. Why is it okay for the grown-up relatives to slam their perspective and thoughts down the younger generation's throats? But it's unacceptable for the younger generation to stand their ground and be like, no, I'm not doing that, for whatever reason. That happens and everything goes to hell, it's all disrespect, when in reality, they are the ones pushing and stomping boundaries. NTA, I love your response. That's hilarious. They certainly are hypocrites, and it's great that you pointed that out. I also think it's horrible that they pressure you and that you've had a lifetime of being responsible for others' kids. It's definitely time for you to have some freedom to enjoy life. I have never gotten along with my sister-in-law. I find her to be lazy, selfish, loud, and demanding. The only good thing about her are my 3 nephews, ages 5 to 12. My brother and sister-in-law are flat broke from their various business ventures and are really struggling. I've stepped up many times with financial assistance. For example, I'm the one who paid for my nephew's extracurricular activities. Recently, their financial situation got so bad that they can barely afford groceries. They were literally splitting peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That was unacceptable, and I offered to buy them weekly groceries. They accepted my help. I don't do online grocery shopping because most of the time they get the order wrong or don't have what I want. So I just go to the store. I'd get an email from my bro or sister-in-law asking for stuff. I'd buy their groceries with mine and then drop their stuff off. It's not the money that annoys me, it's the extra work of bagging and going on the opposite direction of my house to drop off their stuff. Again, I do it for my nephews and it gives me a chance to see them. This week, I did the grocery shopping on my lunch break and texted my sister-in-law to come outside to get their stuff. My brother was out on interviews and my nephews were at school. She just said to leave the groceries on the doorstep. I said, I'm not Uber Eats. I'm doing you a favor by feeding your family, so give me the respect of at least coming to your door and acknowledging me. Show me some respect for the time, money, and effort that I put in. No, she wasn't in a situation to where she could not have taken a minute to do this. She was probably on social media. She came to the door and had a bad attitude. I told her that if my buying and dropping off groceries was too much work for her, then I won't do it anymore. Later, my brother called to find out what happened, and I told him. He said my sister-in-law said I was volatile towards her, and she didn't understand why. I told him that she knew, and now I'm not doing Christmas if she doesn't get on the phone to apologize to me. She did, and blamed her hormones. I told her that I don't care about her hormones. I'm not going to let her disrespect me and let her think that she gets a pass by blaming her hormones. So, yes, I'll cancel Christmas if she's going to be rude to me. I'd hate for that to happen, but that's on my brother and sister in law to burden. And it's not her hormones. She's always had this nasty attitude. It's not new. If she had a good reason as to why she couldn't answer the door, then she would have said so. NTA, but don't punish your nephews and your bro for the sister in law's shitty behavior. You didn't have to buy their groceries and do all that extra work. Perhaps rather than cut them off, you can ask her to meet you at the supermarket and collect the groceries from you there. I would say get them to go around with you, but then they might take the piss and add lots of stuff to the trolley. Makes her get off her backside. NTA, it's basic respect to come out and help unload and say thank you when people bring you stuff, especially if that stuff is food for your kids.